I thought my brother was the family failure until my parents will revealed I was the one who failed him. I, 32M, always thought I had done everything right. College degree, stable career in finance, nice house in the suburbs, and a marriage that looked perfect on paper. My brother, on the other hand, hadn't held a steady job in years. He lived in our parents' basement, cycled through gig work, and spent most evenings playing video games or hanging out with friends my parents never approved of. So when the lawyer read my parents' will after the car accident that took them both, I expected a straightforward division of assets. Maybe they'd leave my brother a bit more cash to help him get on his feet, which I would have understood. What I didn't expect was to hear that they'd left him everything. The house, the cars, their retirement accounts, insurance payouts, all of it. For me, a single envelope with a letter inside. The lawyer handed it to me with an awkward grimace. My wife squeezed my hand so hard her nails dug into my palm. My brother stared at the floor, refusing to meet my eyes. I didn't open the letter right away. I shook hands with the lawyer, congratulated my brother through clenched teeth, and walked out to my car. My wife followed, already on the phone with her mother, whisper shouting about how unfair it all was. I just drove, the envelope sitting on the passenger seat like a bomb waiting to explode. 3 days passed before I could bring myself to open it. 3 days of ignored calls from my brother, of my wife ranting about contesting the will, of staring at my parents' contact info in my phone knowing they'd never pick up again. The envelope contained a single sheet of paper, covered front and back with my mother's neat handwriting. I poured myself a whiskey and started reading. My dear son, asterisk if you're reading this, it means we're gone, and you've just learned about our decision regarding the will. I'm sure you're hurt, angry, and confused. You deserve an explanation, asterisk. Asterisk first, please know that we have always been immensely proud of you. Your drive, your intelligence, your determination. These qualities have brought you success that you earned through your own merit. From the time you were small, we knew you would be fine in this world. You had that spark, that ability to navigate life's challenges and come out stronger, asterisk. Asterisk your brother wasn't given those same gifts. Where things came naturally to you, he struggled. Where you saw clear paths forward, he saw only walls. This isn't an excuse for some of his choices, but it's context we've come to understand better in recent years, asterisk. Asterisk what you don't know, what we never told either of you, is that 3 years ago, your brother was diagnosed with a severe anxiety disorder and depression. The kind that makes it nearly impossible to function in traditional work environments. The kind that had him contemplating ending his life on more than one occasion. Asterisk. Asterisk those lazy days in the basement. Many of them were days he couldn't face the world. Those dead-end jobs he kept quitting. Often environments that triggered panic attacks so severe he would vomit in bathroom stalls before shifts. The friends we didn't approve of. A support group for people with similar struggles. Asterisk. Asterisk your brother made us promise not to tell you. He admired you so much, always has. The thought of you seeing him as broken or weak was unbearable to him. He didn't want your pity, and he didn't want to be just another problem for his successful brother to fix. Asterisk. Asterisk the reason we've left everything to him isn't because we loved you less or valued your accomplishments less. It's because we know you'll be okay without our help. You have the tools, the skills, and the support system to thrive. Your brother needs a safety net that we can no longer provide in person. Asterisk. Asterisk the house will give him stable housing without the pressure of rent he can't afford when his condition flares up. The financial assets will allow him to seek better treatment and possibly retrain for work he can manage with his condition. This isn't about fairness, it's about need. Asterisk. Asterisk I know this hurts you. I know it feels like punishment for your success or reward for his perceived failure. It's neither. It's just two parents trying to make sure both their children have what they need to survive after we're gone. Asterisk. Asterisk if you can find it in your heart, please don't abandon your brother now. He needs you more than ever, though his pride may never let him admit it. And if you can't understand our decision, I hope someday you will. Asterisk. Asterisk we have always loved you, completely and without reservation. That hasn't changed, and it never will. Asterisk. Mom and Dad. I read the letter 3 times before setting it down. My whiskey sat untouched, my hands shaking too much to hold the glass. Everything I thought I knew about my brother, about my parents' relationship with him, shifted under my feet like sand. I called my wife, told her to stop contacting lawyers. She argued, of course, said my parents had manipulated me from beyond the grave, that my brother had probably manipulated them first, that mental health wasn't an excuse for laziness. I hung up mid-sentence. Then I called my brother. When he answered, the line was quiet for a long moment. I know about the diagnosis, I finally said. He exhaled slowly. They weren't supposed to tell you. They didn't until now. I paused. Why didn't you? And say what? Hey bro, Just so you know, I'm fundamentally broken in ways you could never understand. You've had your life together since you were like 12. I'm basically a cautionary tale. That's not true, I said automatically, but we both knew it kind of was. At least, that's how I'd seen him. How I talked about him to my wife, my friends, even my parents sometimes. Asterisk, when is he going to grow up? When is he going to get his act together? Asterisk. Look, he said, I didn't ask them to do this. I tried to talk them out of it when they told me. I know it's not fair to you. Fair isn't always the same as right, I said, surprising myself with the words. Mom explained that. Another silence. I'm coming over tomorrow, I said. We should talk in person. My brother answered the door in a wrinkled t-shirt and sweatpants. The house, my parents' house, now his house, was mostly as I remembered, though the dishes had piled up and takeout containers lined the counters. He'd been alone here for nearly 2 weeks. Sorry about the mess, he mumbled, clearing textbooks from the couch so I could sit. I glanced at the titles: psychology, neuroscience, social work. Not what I expected. Online classes, he explained, following my gaze. Started last year. Can work at my own pace when things are manageable. I nodded, unsure what to say. Growing up, I'd been the one with words for every situation. He'd been the quiet one, the one who needed my parents to intervene when teachers called home about incomplete assignments or missed classes. I'd assumed it was laziness or indifference. Never once considered it might be something else. I'm sorry, I said finally. He looked startled. For what? For not seeing you. The real you. For making assumptions. He shrugged, eyes fixed on the floor. Not your fault. I got pretty good at hiding it. And it's not like I've made great life choices even with the mental stuff. Why didn't you tell me? His laugh was hollow. You're kidding, right? You've got the corner office, the perfect wife, the house in the right neighborhood. I'm the family screw-up, living in our parents' basement at 29. What was I supposed to say? The truth, I said softly. You could have told me the truth, right? So you could what, fix me? Throw money at the problem? Tell me about your company's great mental health benefits like that's an option for someone who can barely make it through a job interview without having a panic attack. The bitterness in his voice made me flinch, but I deserved it. That's exactly what I would have done. Tried to solve his problem like it was a financial portfolio that needed rebalancing. I wouldn't have done that. I lied. Yeah, you would. It's what you do. It's who you are. He sighed. It's not a bad thing. It's just your way of showing you care, I guess. But some problems don't have easy solutions. We sat in silence for a while. I noticed a prescription bottle on the coffee table, half hidden under a magazine. Followed his gaze to the family photo on the mantel, Christmas 3 years ago, right around when he'd gotten his diagnosis, according to Mom's letter. In the photo, he's smiling, but now I could see the tension in his shoulders, the slight distance in his eyes. I'm not going to contest the will, I said finally. You should, he replied immediately. At least partially. It's not right, them leaving you nothing. I don't need it. You do. I don't want your pity. It's not pity. I struggled to find the right words. It's recognition of something I should have seen a long time ago. My wife was furious when I told her my decision. She called me a pushover, said my brother was playing me, said my parents had made a terrible mistake. When I showed her the letter, she scoffed. Depression? Anxiety. Half the world has those. They don't get rewarded with inheritances. It's not a reward, I said quietly. It's support. Support he hasn't earned. What about all your hard work? What about our future? Our future. The words hung in the air between us, heavy with implication. We talked about kids soon, a bigger house in a better school district, maybe a vacation property someday. The inheritance wouldn't have made or broken those plans, but it would have accelerated them. Our future is fine, I said. We have more than enough. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe I was becoming someone new in the wake of my parents' death, in the aftermath of their final lesson to me. I want you to contest the will, she said flatly. If you won't do it for yourself, do it for me. For us. I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and for the first time, I wondered if we wanted the same things after all. The next few weeks were a blur. Grief counseling for myself. Regular visits to my brother's house. Gradually learning about his condition, his triggers, his coping mechanisms. Watching him struggle to explain things I'd never had to think about. How some days just getting out of bed was a victory. How crowds could suddenly become overwhelming. How the thought of failing at yet another job filled him with such dread, he couldn't breathe. I started helping him organize the house, set up automatic bill payments, find a better psychiatrist who took his insurance. Small things, practical things. Not fixing, just supporting. My marriage deteriorated in direct proportion to my improved relationship with my brother. My wife couldn't understand why I was wasting time with him instead of fighting for what was rightfully mine. When I suggested we go to couples counseling, She packed a bag and went to her sister's. 2 months after my parents' death, I sat in my brother's kitchen, our parents' kitchen, helping him sort through old photo albums. He was having a good day, joking about my unfortunate middle school haircuts and mom's obsession with matching outfits when we were little. Hey, he said, suddenly serious now. I've been thinking about the house. What about it? I want to sell it. Too many memories, you know? Too big for just me anyway. He fidgeted with the corner of a photo. I thought, maybe we could split the money. Use my half for a smaller place, something more manageable. And therapy, maybe some vocational rehabilitation. You don't have to do that, I said immediately. I know. I want to. He met my eyes directly, something he'd been doing more lately. It feels right. And I think Mom and Dad would understand. I started to argue, then stopped myself. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about agency, dignity, him making his own choices. Okay, I said, if that's what you want. He nodded, relief clear on his face. And he hesitated. I've been thinking about what you said. About seeing a vocational counselor specialized in anxiety disorders. Finding work I can actually handle. Yeah. The social work classes I've been taking. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Helping people who've been where I've been. For the first time since our parents died, I felt something like hope. Not because he was doing what I would have done, but because he was finding his own way forward. One that acknowledged his limitations, but didn't surrender to them entirely. My wife came home eventually, but things weren't the same. I'd changed. Watching my brother struggle, but keep trying gave me a new perspective on what strength really looked like. Watching my parents make a difficult choice out of love rather than fairness taught me something about priorities. When my wife complained about a co-worker's occasional mental health days or rolled her eyes at my brother's slower progress, I found myself unable to share in her frustration. The distance between us grew. 6 months after my parents' accident, my brother sold the house. As promised, he split the proceeds with me despite my protests. He found a small apartment near his new part-time job at a community center, working limited hours in a low-stress environment. On his bad days, he still struggled. On his good days, he thrived. I learned to meet him where he was, not where I thought he should be. My wife and I separated a month later. The inheritance money sat untouched in my account. I couldn't bring myself to spend it. One night, I sat alone in my too-big house, reading my mother's letter again. The paper was worn now from multiple readings, the creases soft from being folded and unfolded so many times. I realized I wasn't angry anymore. Not at my parents for their choice, not at my brother for his needs, not even at myself for my blindness. They had given me something after all. Not money or property, but a chance to see beyond my narrow definition of success. A chance to be a better brother, a more compassionate person. A chance to recognize that sometimes, the people who seem to have everything figured out are just better at hiding their struggles. I folded the letter carefully and put it back in its envelope. Then I called my brother to see if he wanted to grab dinner. Just a normal Friday night between brothers. The kind of ordinary moment our parents would have loved to see.